It seems therefore fitting that the new age of unity should have a new calendar, free from the objections and association which make each of the older calendar unacceptable to a large section of the world's population. And it is difficult to see any other arrangement could exceed the simplicity and convenience of that proposed by the Bab, are the words of Dr. Esselman in his Baha'u'llah and a New Era. Some features why the Badi calendar is so unique: the appointment of Tehran as a place of reference, the prime meridian of the calendar, which I believe will eventually replace Greenwich, England, as the prime meridian of the world calendar. It was revealed and introduced by two manifestations, Baha'u'llah and the Bab. Most calendars in the world were man-made, and they have cycles and periods, like the Wahid of 19 years, and a period of a Kulli Shay consists of 19 Wahid, or 361 years. On the 10th of July 2014, the letter of the Universal House of Justice to the Baha'i world, it states that the Bab introduced the calendar with its broad pattern of periods and cycles, months and days. Baha'u'llah provided essential clarification and additions. Aspects were elucidated by Abdu'l-Baha, and preparation for its adoption in the West were put in place at the direction of Shoghi Effendi, as described in the volumes of the Baha'i World. Still, ambiguities surrounding some Islamic and Gregorian dates, as well as the difficulties in the correlations between historical observances and astronomical events, with explicit statements in a text, left certain issues unresolved. When responding to questions concerning the calendar, both Abdu'l-Baha and Shoghi Effendi left these matters to the Universal House of Justice. Of its many features, 3 required clarification for the calendar's uniform application: the means for the determination of Naw-Ruz, the accommodation of the lunar characters of the twin holy birthdays within a solar year, and the fixing of the dates of the holy days within the Badi calendar. The means for the determination of Naw-Ruz is also explained in that same letter, which states that the festival of Naw-Ruz falleth on the day that the sun entered the sign of Aries. Baha'u'llah explained in his most holy book, even should that occur no more than 1 minute before sunset. However, details have until now been left undefined. We have decided on Tehran, the birthplace of the Abba beauty, to be the spot on earth to act as a standard to determine by astronomical computations from reliable sources the moment of the vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere, and thereby the day of Naw-Ruz for the Baha'i world. So Naw-Ruz is determined when the sun enters the sign of Aries. Before sunset on March 20th in Tehran as the place of reference, Naw-Ruz will be on March 20th. But if the sun entered the sign of Aries after sunset on March 20th in Tehran, Naw-Ruz will be on March 21st. However, if the sun entered the sign of Aries 1 minute before sunset on March 20th in Tehran, Naw-Ruz will be on March 21st. Why was that? When we already stated that when the sun entered the sign of Aries before sunset on March 20th in Tehran, Naw-Ruz will be on March 20th. I'll tell you what I think is why, but I want you to treat it as it is, what I think is why, and what I think is subject to analysis, subject to criticism. You can even discard it. I think because 1 minute to sunset is too close, considering the speed of the Earth in its orbiting around the Sun. It travels at 30 kilometers a second. And there is another thing there is a phenomenon called astronomical refraction. And that is when you see the sun sitting on the top of the horizon. The whole diameter of the sun have already set 2 minutes ago. But what you're looking at is the phenomenon called astronomical refraction. That is because light bends when traveled through the atmosphere. Hence, the astronomical refraction. The Bab introduced the calendar with its broad pattern of periods and cycles, months and days. Baha'u'llah provided essential clarification and additions. One of these essential clarification that Baha'u'llah provided is where he placed the days of Ayyam-i-Ha in the calendar, because the Bab did not stipulate where in the calendars are the days of Ayyam-i-Ha, because after the Bab there was so much confusion about the days of the Ayyam-i-Ha among the Babis, that the opposite side decided to take the matter upon themselves, and they commemorated the days of Ayyam-i-Ha in the last 4 days of the month of fasting. And they came across a statement in our writing which says that the Naw-Ruz falls on a day immediately after the days of fasting. And then when they realize that their Naw-Ruz is not going to be immediately after the days of fasting, they switch it to the first 4 days of the month of fasting. So they only fast for 15 days. Baha'u'llah solved that confusion, which when he placed the days of Ayyam-i-Ha between the 18th month and the 19th month, precede the month of fasting. Days of Ayyam-i-Ha are the days of exchanging gift, days of generosity, kindness, days to prepare us for the fast. And when we enter the fast, one of the great gifts of God to humanity, that we fast, which is symbolic, we abstain from food and drink between the sunrise and sunset. And they also gave us one of the great gifts associated with fast, and that is the exemption. The manifestation ordained the exemption for us, which I see exemption is like you are exempt from fasting while you still receive all the blessings associate with fasting. What a blessing. And those who are exempt from fasting is when you're 70 years or older. Women in their courses, if you're under 15 years old, if you're sick, or if you travel on foot for 2 hours and more, if you travel by other fast means of traveling for 9 hours and more, if you work hard labor, and after the fast we enter Naw-Ruz, the new year. One of the distinguished features of the Badi calendar is the ability to calculate the exact day of New Year, which involve the aligning of three terrestrial bodies, the sun, the moon, and the earth. That is when the sun enters the sign of Aries, correspond to the moment of the vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere, and align with the setting of the sun on March 20th in Tehran, the place of reference. We have the exact day of the new year, and no comparison to other calendars' new year, which is in all over the place. Like the Gregorian calendar, the new year is the 1st of January. The Maya calendar's new year is on the 26th of July. And the Chinese new year, calendar's new year is the 22nd of January. I'll leave you with this statement from the Universal House of Justice regarding calendars. The adoption of a new calendar in its dispensation is the symbol of the power of divine revelation to reshape human perceptions of material, social, and spiritual realities. Through it, sacred moments are distinguished, humanity's place in time and space reimagined, and the rhythm of life recast. Have a happy Ayyam-i-Ha coming up, and a pleasant fast, and a wonderful Naw-Ruz. Thank you, and I wish you well. Fa tailava manuela fa fong fong mai mala fa sau sangu Samoa. Soifua.